All right, we're rolling.
With the phone in the background.
Yeah. Good morning, Robbie.
Good morning, Dylan.
How art thou?
Doing good.
Nice.
Doing good on this nice rainy or cloudy Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a proper May week here. getting into the back third of the month.
Yep.
You been getting out running much?
Yeah, decent bit. Running, biking, mountain biking. Went to North Conway.
Oh, cool. What'd you do there?
Did some biking. Yeah, it's good. It's wet here, so it was dry there, which is nice. Lucked out with the weather over there.
Solid. Did you stop at IME?
I did. Yeah,
That's good stuff.
Just had to go check it out.
Yeah.
Had to check it out.
Yeah.
It was good.
Awesome. What trail networks were you on? I'm not super familiar.
I'm terrible with trail names, but we biked on some of the trails on Cathedral Ledge. Went up there. I think half day is one of the trails that we did. And then, a couple other over there. And then another day we did, time something, outer limits. I don't know. Something like that on the east side. So.
Cool. That whole terrain features quite the playground.
Oh, yeah. It was,
for folks. It's so cool over there.
Yeah, it's wild. It's definitely different riding than over here, which is nice. And more adventure riding, more like big, long days and a lot rockier. So it's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been mostly on the gravel bike.
Nice.
Yeah, I went and did a backpacking trip in Connecticut of all places. There's a cool area called the Nipmuc Trail. It's about 40 miles long, and great walking. A lot of river stuff. A bunch of people fishing for trout in there.
Oh,
but,
sweet.
yeah, it's nice rolling terrain. Lots of mostly flat, not a lot of vert, but just good walking. Good way to kind of get the legs back and get out there. But haven't been running too much. I've been trying to take care of my hip and stuff. So the gravel biking though has been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Been exploring a lot of the back dirt roads of Waterbury and having a lot of fun with that.
Plenty of good back dirt roads.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Plenty of good.
yeah, I got some runs on my schedule for this week. So
Nice.
Been running in the topos.
Nice. Good.
I like those a lot. I was in trail gloves almost exclusively, and then I realized, this kind of hurts. So I got an actual running shoe.
As did everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I use the trail gloves for all my backpacking, like Prezi Traverse, Pemi Loop. Like,
Damn.
I like those for when there's a lot of vertical and a lot of scrambly, like steep stuff. I don't like them for mileage. It just... RSI City.
Yeah. Yeah, brutal.
Yeah. But
Brutal.
yeah, something with a little more cushion, a little bit of drop and a little bit of rocker for running is quite nice.
Yep.
I did a Franconia Ridge loop with my Topo Mountain Racer 3s, and those just lock in, cruise, like the ups were great and the downs in particular were much more comfortable.
Yeah.
So I've been looking to kind of get more into that mountain running world and find the footwear that really works for me on that.
Yeah.
And looks like we have some in front of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And before we start, this Stowe Trailheads is a running club in town that starts today, Wednesday, and they'll be meeting every Wednesday at 5:30 typically, and then the trailhead changes. And so if you want more information on that, find them on Instagram or reach out to us and we'll tell you how to find them. Cool. But it's a good club. We're going to be doing a lot of shoe demos there this year too. So today, the first one, we're bringing shoes from Rossignol, and then we're also bringing some nutrition from Tailwind. And so if you want to try any of these shoes, we're getting these shoes at some point too. Just keep your eye on the social medias and you can try a shoe before you buy it. And so it'd be pretty sweet.
That's not a very common thing. Try the shoe before. I mean, I guess REI has that crazy return policy, but kind of like a risk-free trial. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, you can come, and we appreciate it too, because it's a great way for us to know, be like, what product do we bring in next year? What product do you guys want to see? And you can tell us, be like, hey, I noticed that you guys don't carry this shoe brand or this specific shoe. Well, why not? And you can ask us, and I can try and give a reasonable answer.
Crowdsource the buying process. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I bring in stuff that I like versus everything that you guys like. And so, but yeah, so in front of us we have Nnormal. This is a new shoe brand for us. We had a demo fleet of them last year. They dropped them off, which was super kind. And there was a big response, and then people really seemed to enjoy them, so we brought them on in. And so this year we brought in from them their TOMIR, their TOMIR hiker mid, and then their, I always butcher this name, you say it better.
KJERAG.
KJERAG.
Yeah, KJERAG.
Yeah.
1-01.
That one.
KJERAG.
And so we're just going to go over what shoe is for what person, the fit, the style, what they're good at, what they're bad at, that type of stuff. And yeah, see if we can help you try and find which shoe is right for you. And so we'll start off with the TOMIR over here. And so this is their little bit more cushioned trail runner. They're all kind of trail runner, mountain runners. I guess I should go over Nnormal as a brand first. Like, their whole shtick is durability, sustainability, repairability. They are a B Corp. They have some really strong materials and some really, really high quality stuff. And so you can replace the soles, you can replace the uppers. They're made with incredibly durable materials, and so their upper bit, it's a firm fit. They say it's a roomy toe box in all their shoes, but personally, I don't think it's super roomy. But that's not a bad thing. And so not every shoe has to fit like a Topo or an Ultra. Like, this is going to be a higher performance kind of mountain running shoe for someone who might have a little bit narrower fit or just likes that snugger fit with less wobble in there. And so, yeah, super strong, super durable. They're meant to last a really, really long time. And when they start to break down, you can fix them, which is pretty huge. And so, yeah, that's Nnormal. Killian Jornet has a huge role in this brand, and this is kind of, the shoe that he runs in. And so he could probably run in any shoe he wants and still win, but, he chooses this shoe, and he likes to see his shoes not go into the landfills all the time.
Yeah, for somebody who puts in the amount of miles that Killian does, he has a very intimate knowledge of footwear and how different tweaks perform. Like, you can go out on a 2-mile run and know whether or not the shoes are comfortable or not, but it's at mile 25 where you really start feeling where the shoes are holding up and where they're not.
Yeah.
It's that when you're really getting up in the volume that a shoe, and I'm talking training volume, that the shoe really starts to make a difference and perform. Yeah, like, you think of like a dynafit running shoe or something like that, and those are super tight in the toe box, that kind of Euro fit, no faff, no wasted material, just tight to your body. When I put these on, they definitely have a wider toe box than something like a dynafit, but certainly not as wide and open as my Ultras. But I think that's kind of where this shoe shines. I think opening it up a little bit, but still keeping it kind of locked in, really is an important element to a shoe that's built for running in technical mountain terrain, as opposed to just trails. Like the Topo Ultra Venture or Run Venture or my Mountain Racer 3. I really have to focus on locking down those laces in order to get a precise fit, in order to, descending a steep, rocky, scrambly terrain.
Definitely.
And something like this is born and bred for terrain like that. So if you're doing like a Mount Mansfield Traverse or Presidential Traverse, something like that, Franconia Ridge Trail, this is a shoe for that. You know, it's stiff enough. The materials in it are made to lock you in and give you a precise and very responsive feel, while giving you some cushion. But that responsiveness is really, I think, where these shoes shine, because you know, you need to be able to feel everything while having a little bit of forgiveness, and be able to do that for miles and miles, and that's where this shoe shines.
Yep. And so to go over some specific details on the TOMIR, and so this guy in a UK 8, I believe, weighs 265 grams. It's got a 8mm drop. It's got this kind of like asymmetrical lacing system here, and so it kind of drifts off to the inside of your foot there, which is designed to just relieve a little bit of pressure over the foot there and over the arch, and kind of hit a different spot, versus putting all of the pressure on, you know, right over your instep there.
Well, it's ergonomic and it's anatomical.
Yeah,
you know, it allows you to dial in the fit right over that instep, right over that main tarsal in your foot.
Yeah.
And allow you to relieve the pressure where it's needed, but lock it in on the sides of the instep and around the foot. And I think that's just smart. You know, a lot of brands go for an easier design manufacturing process, and these guys, these folks really do it in a smarter way, more thoughtful.
Big time. For sole, they got a Vibram sole, the Mega Grip Vibram. They do have, so on each of these lugs, you can't really see it, maybe we'll get a close-up video of it. So on each of these lugs, there's tiny little kind of spikes coming out of each of the lugs, and so that supposedly is supposed to get you an extra, like 15, I might have that percentage wrong, 15% extra grip. And so it's really like on the muddier, more technical kind of stuff, the wetter stuff, looser stuff, that's when you're going to see that grip come in handy. On like rocky, more pavement or firm dirt, that's not going to matter because it's not sinking in there. But on that looser stuff, that's when you're going to start to feel that little bit of extra grip there. You've got a little bit of rock protection up here, which is nice. It's not too firm, so you can kind of, you know, move around within that and kind of let your toes breathe a little bit. But like we said, that upper bit is relatively firm and tight, and so your foot isn't going to slide off of the midsole like you might feel in some other shoes that have a really breathable, really kind of loose upper bit. And so there's pros and cons to that. And so it's going to take a little bit to break in and feel a little bit tighter and firmer right off the bat, but it's going to last a little bit longer, and you're not, if you are running in technical terrain, you're not going to just blow through that sidewall as easily. Like me personally, I got bunions on both of my bigger toes there, and so I always blow out here. And so, you know, for me, that's just, you know, that's a big plus, that I might last more than a season and not blow out that sidewall there. And so a good, strong, durable fit. And so this is going to be someone who is going to be running on the trails in the lower bits of town here, but also still wants to get up high and have something that's going to have traction and that's light enough to get you up into that high vert stuff too. But I think this one is primarily going to be running on like the lower in-town style trails, maybe a little bit longer distance, a little bit flatter terrain.
Which one's lighter?
This one. It's 205.
I mean, yeah, this is a little bit of a lower stack, so you are closer to the tread surface. It's just kind of interesting. They don't have as much of that rubber rand around this shoe.
Yeah, so he was saying that the way the midsole was designed and how high up it goes, that they were thinking about doing a similar one to this, but they didn't because of this midsole and just how it goes up, and they felt like it was enough.
Yeah, but I mean, I do see a lot of borrowed features from like the climbing shoe world.
Yeah.
With that full rubber rand around it, and like the mountaineering boot world, you know.
Yep.
That full, you know, running shoe world, they call it rock protection, but I call it a full rubber rand. Gives you that full wrap around it. It really protects where the softer materials meet the harder materials.
Yep.
And I think that's a thoughtful feature there. I think that's a good part of the design.
Yep.
I also really like how, I mean, you can see the stitching all the way around the bottom of the shoe here, and like the top of the midsole. Is that part of the repairability concept, where you can completely replace the midsole that will ostensibly collapse over time?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about the KJERAG a little bit more. Who's that for? Where does that fit in with the lineup?
Yeah. So this one is, they designed it as more of like a high alpine racer, but also a do-it-all shoe. And so it's going to be lighter. This is weighing in at 205 grams at that UK8. The stack height is 6. And so a little bit less of a ramp, the ramp angle is 6, but it is a lower stack height than the TOMIR 2. So yeah, just a little bit lighter, a little bit more performance. This is like their high alpine scrambling style shoe, so lighter weight. But the tread pattern, as you were saying as well, like it isn't as aggressive, and so it does have a little bit closer spacing. It doesn't have that extra kind of those lugs there.
It's not as deep, you know. I think this is probably, you know, just eyeballing it, I'd say this is probably like a 3 millimeter deep lug pattern.
There's 3, that's 4.
Yeah.
And so they like, this is like on higher rocks, you know, less mud. Like this is going to do better in mud on lower terrain. This is going to do better on rocks on higher terrain. Where you're kind of running on the ball of your foot versus more heel striking like you might be doing with these guys. And so this is, you know, a lighter shoe running on rocks, scrambling a little bit more, versus your low angle mud shoe.
Cool. And I mean, yeah, looking at the stack, you know, you have a little bit less stack in the KJERAG versus the TOMIR. Which tells me a more responsive shoe, lower center of gravity, less chance of rolling an ankle in consequential terrain, more responsive. You know, you're gonna feel stuff a lot more. It's gonna feel lighter, more agile. You know, this is built for very fine and precise foot placement, whereas the TOMIR is built for, you know, and just looking at the rocker on the TOMIR as well versus the KJERAG, you know. Yes, heel strike, foot roll, good turnover. This is like that fine foot placement, almost dancing across the rocks type of shoe.
Definitely.
And again, I see a decent amount of translation from like the climbing shoe world or like mountaineering boots. Just in the sole, you know, a little bit sharper edges around where the midsole meets the sole here at the bottom. Yeah, I see this as being something where, you know, you place your foot, it's going to stick like glue.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So if you just like a lighter shoe, and a lower stack height, lower ramp angle, well, 6 isn't that lower. That's pretty average for trail these days. But if you just like a lighter shoe and maybe don't heel strike as much as, you know, some other folks, then this is an awesome shoe for that.
Cool.
Good shoe.
So price point. Not the cheapest, but definitely not the most expensive. You know, we see some running and mountain running shoes up over the $300 mark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the super shoes are making normal trail running shoes seem pretty reasonable these days.
Yeah.
But these guys are coming in at $195, and the TOMIRs are coming in at $180, I believe.
Yeah. Cool.
And they are coming out with a new shoe, or they did already come out with it, and we might be getting it at some point. They're trying to figure out their wholesale, but that's a whole nother shoe, and that probably deserves its own specific video.
Yeah, it'd be cool to take a look at that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think on their website, you know, they claim this is a 600-mile shoe. You know, maybe more, and with the resoling process, that's cool. I think miles per dollar, that's a good value. For, you know, if you have this, as long as you would have, you know, 2 pairs of ultras. You know, I've seen ultras just blow out.
Oh yeah.
Even my topos, you know, I loved my topos, but I haven't gotten quite as many miles out of them as I thought I would be. That said, I'm probably still team topo. I think this presents an awesome value proposition just in terms of miles per dollar.
Yep.
Compared to most other shoes. So if you spend an extra 20 or 30 bucks on one of these and it lasts you twice as long.
Yep. It's a pretty good deal.
That makes sense to me.
It's a pretty good deal.
Cool. This hiker's interesting too. You know, I'm not a huge high top guy, but that's a pretty compelling shoe, I think, especially for keeping rocks out of your shoes. You know, it's a lightweight hiker with a running sole and tread. You know, these are the same shoe right here. These are both the TOMIR, same thing, just, you know, mid cut on this one, and yeah, it's extremely light. You know, you look at things like the Ultra, Lone Peak, Mid. This is probably a direct competitor to that, but if you like a little bit of heel drop, you know, that's that.
Exactly. Good shoes, good brand.
Cool.
We'll have some demos at some point in the season.
Good stuff.
But that's all I got.
Mountainopsvt.com. MountainOpsvt on Instagram. 802-253-4531. Give us a call if you have questions.
Nailed it.
Thanks.
Nailed it.
All right. Oh, I fucking nailed that coffee cup this morning.